Hey guys, Dr. Childs here. Today we're going to be talking about the benefits of exercise on your thyroid. So if you don't already know, your thyroid can be actually improved by certain exercise or by just exercising in general, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. But exercise helps your thyroid in three very distinct ways, and I want to elaborate on those ways and hopefully convince you to exercise if you aren't already exercising and you have some sort of thyroid problem. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Childs. I'm an internist and I specialize in treating patients with thyroid problems, helping people balance their hormones, and of course helping people lose weight. But today is about the thyroid. So let's talk about really the benefits of exercise for your thyroid. Now again, I probably don't have to spend a lot of time convincing you that exercising in general is healthy, right? Like you should probably just know this, that exercise is good for your body in general. But what you may not know is exactly how exercise improves thyroid function. Now this is really important, obviously, if you have any sort of thyroid condition, because this is one way that you can naturally improve your thyroid and perhaps become less dependent upon thyroid medication, because thyroid medication is trying to provide your body what it can't produce on its own. So if you can naturally improve the amount that your body produces, well, you can potentially reduce your medication. So that's why we care about this. So there's three things that I have here, and I'm going to go by these one by one, and they'll hopefully explain to you why they're so important. So the first reason to exercise is that exercise has a direct impact on this doesn't work. Grab another one. Has a direct impact on free thyroid hormones. So what I'm talking about here are free T3 and free T4. Okay, so if you've been following any of my videos, you probably already know about these hormones. If this is maybe your first video or introduction to me, then maybe you aren't aware of these. But your free thyroid hormones refer to the hormones that are floating around in your bloodstream, which are available to bind to your cells. Now, these are different from your TSH, but exercise does impact your TSH, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So what's important for you to know here is that exercise increases both free T3 and free T4, which is huge, because what it's doing essentially is it's liberating the thyroid hormone that's in your blood, and it's taking it away from basically where it's being bound to proteins which are carrying it throughout your body, and it's allowing these to interact with your cells. And really all you care about as a thyroid patient, or all you should care about, is really this value right here, free T3. Now free T4 is still important because it impacts your free T3 level, but what you really are concerned about here would be free T3. And if anything that you can do to increase your free T3 will improve your thyroid function, because this is the strongest thyroid hormone in your body. So if you increase this, then it will impact your cells better and it will improve thyroid function. Free T4 is still important because, like I said, it converts into free T3, and it can be used as sort of a reservoir which your body can draw upon to produce more free T3 on demand as necessary. So it still is important. You still want more free T4, not really at the expense of free T3, but if it's a package deal, you definitely want to take it. What's really interesting is that we also have studies which show that exercising reduces your TSH. So you might think, well, how is that beneficial? Well, most thyroid patients who have hypothyroidism, meaning low thyroid function, their TSH is high, right? So they are walking around with a high TSH. And the goal of taking thyroid medications is to drop that TSH. You want that TSH to go down. So if you can do this naturally, you are naturally improving your thyroid because it becomes less dependent and there's less of a signal coming from your brain to push out thyroid hormone from your thyroid gland. So you want this to go down. You want this to go down naturally if possible, but what your doctor will do is they'll force it down by taking medications if you can't get it down in any other way. So reducing your TSH is a good in this case, and it's also increasing your free T3 and free T4. Now again, this is what exercising does to the thyroid hormone or thyroid gland function. We're going to talk about some other things here in just a minute, but it is really important. Now this does assume that you are not over-exercising. I will have a video on how to know if you are over-exercising for your thyroid, because if you do over-exercise, you will lose these benefits. And they may be reversed. So you may actually cause more harm than good. So I do need to have a discussion with you guys about that. But for now, just realize that exercising, if done correctly, can boost the free thyroid hormones and drop your TSH as well. So that's number one. Number two is that it has a direct effect on inflammation, right? It drives down inflammation. So you know that inflammation obviously is bad. It's seen at the cellular level. It impacts your thyroid. It impacts your fat cells. It impacts your other hormones. Increases your risk of cardiovascular disease. I mean, I could go on and on and on. Inflammation is a bad thing. It's not something that you want. And exercise helps reduce it. So anything that you can do to improve inflammation will help your thyroid. And here's why. Inflammation has a negative effect on T4 to T3 conversion. So if you were paying attention above, I mentioned that free T4 can turn into free T3, and in this way, free T4 is important for that purpose. Now, what happens in the inflammatory state, or if there's lots of inflammation in the body, this process is reduced, so it's blunted. And remember I said free T3, right here, is the strongest and most important thyroid hormone in your body. So if you are not converting T4 into T3, you'll have a buildup of T4, but you won't be producing enough T3. So the T4 may go up, but the free T3 or T3 total T3 will go down, and that's obviously not good. So that's what inflammation is causing. Now, in addition, inflammation also can cause thyroid gland damage. So if you have something called Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune disease, remember autoimmune comes from your immune system, the inflammatory process stems from your immune system, so these are all linked together. If you have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, then your own body is attacking your thyroid gland, and it's causing inflammation directly inside of that gland. Okay, and this inflammation, if left unchecked, will completely and irreversibly eventually damage that thyroid gland, and it will no longer work. It will no longer produce thyroid hormone, and you will become dependent on thyroid medication for the rest of your life. So if you can reduce this inflammation, you can reduce that attack on the thyroid gland, through that process mediated by your immune system, and you can potentially impact T4 to T3 conversion. So there's two benefits that inflammation has on your thyroid, which again stems from exercise. So that's another benefit, is that reduction in inflammation, something that you should care a lot about. You can check for inflammation in your body, by the way, just as a quick primer here, by checking two tests, ESR and CRP. That's supposed to be an R, and that's also an R. So ESR and CRP will tell you if you have inflammation systemically in your body, and you can look at these values and you can determine how bad is the inflammation, is it getting any better, and so on. But exercise does tend to reduce inflammation, which has a positive effect on your thyroid in at least two separate ways. But there's definitely more, but we'll leave it at that for now. And then lastly, another benefit to exercising, as far as your thyroid is concerned, is it has an improvement, or it increases your metabolism. Okay, so metabolism obviously is very important if you have any sort of thyroid condition. Most thyroid conditions result in a decreased metabolism. So what happens is your thyroid, including your free T3, by the way, which is one of the most important markers of thyroid function, it controls about anywhere from 50 to 70% of your metabolism. It's somewhere around there, depending on which study you look at, depending on the person, and so on. So your thyroid controls your metabolism by a large margin. In fact, it's probably the single most important mediator of your metabolism. And what happens is, if you have thyroid problems, this metabolism obviously is damaged and it goes down. But what also happens to thyroid patients is that they tend to suffer from low metabolism because their thyroid is low, which causes them to gain weight, which causes them to diet. Okay, so it's a kind of a chain of events. But what ends up happening is that dieting, especially, most diets, unless you're following certain diets, will further damage that metabolism. So now we have thyroid patients who have, metabolic damage from several different sources. One of the ways to repair this process is by exercising, to naturally improve that metabolism. Now, it's doing that by increasing your free thyroid hormones like free T3 and free T4. It's also doing that by increasing muscle mass. So if you can improve your muscle mass, especially lean muscle mass, what you will be doing is burning more calories on a day-to-day basis. And that's something that you want to do, or want to have happen in your body if you have any sort of thyroid condition. Because again, most thyroid patients who have low thyroid, Hashimoto's, hypothyroidism, if they've had their thyroid irradiated or surgically removed, they suffer from low thyroid. And oftentimes that leads to weight gain, and then that cascade of events that I just mentioned. So you should care a lot about your metabolism, and especially improving that metabolism in a natural way if possible. So these are three really basic benefits to exercising. I know, at least for my wife who has thyroid condition, she likes to know why she's doing something, because if she understands the why behind it, she's more likely to do it. So if you're somebody who is in that sort of situation as well, hopefully this helps you understand why exercise is so important. If you aren't exercising, definitely get started with exercise, because it's one of the ways that you can naturally treat your thyroid and become less dependent upon thyroid medication, which obviously should be the thing that you want to do if you have any sort of thyroid problem. So if you have any questions about this, please leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it, or if you've had any sort of benefit or positive experience from exercising, I also want to hear about it. Leave that in the comment below. And if you haven't already, be sure to download my free thyroid PDF resources. I have tons of information, all designed to help thyroid patients. They're all for free. You can download them at the link below. And if you like this sort of stuff, I think you'll really like that information. That's all I have for you guys today, and otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.